Hey, so welcome back. Today we are talking about how we went about feeding our baby solids. At around the 4-month mark when we went and got his shots, our pediatrician was talking about doing the baby oatmeal or he said baby rice cereal. We didn't do the baby rice cereal. I ended up going with like an oatmeal. I don't know why rice cereal didn't sound that great, but oatmeal sounded fine to me. We purchased just the Gerber one that was in the grocery store, and we mixed that with some of the breast milk that I had. Just started feeding him that. We also added peanut butter a little bit to the oatmeal to see how he would react. And at first he was really loving the oatmeal. Towards almost his 6-month appointment, he really wasn't liking it anymore, and I didn't know what was going on, but I wasn't forcing any matter of trying to get him to eat the oatmeal, so I just kind of like let it be. I thought maybe he was getting bored, honestly. Then at 6 months, when we went in for his shots with the pediatrician, that's when we got the kind of go ahead to start giving him solids. It was recommended that we aim for, every meal. Breakfast, lunch, dinner, also doing maybe snacks. So we started to go on this journey, and we had already picked out doing purees. I talked to my partner about what the two options kind of are out there, the baby-led weaning or the purees, but we felt more comfortable with the purees. So at first, definitely the allergens, the peanut butters, the eggs, the shellfish, those kind of allergies that you do hear of people having, I definitely recommend just feeding those just by themselves. Food reactions or food allergies maybe are a concern as parents. Making sure that you kind of feed those allergens to him one at a time, I think, is really big. Immediately, my partner, his mother told me that he was allergic to eggs. So when I first tried eggs, I gave him the smallest amount to just see what was gonna happen, and pretty much immediately he got red splotches on his face, and it didn't seem other than that to really bother him. I also noticed with adding more peanut butter to the oatmeal that he was possibly having a reaction to the peanut butter as well, because he was actually not splotching up as much as the eggs, but he was like scratching at his face, and he was very clearly unhappy in his high chair when I was feeding it to him after just a few bites. And I think the first time I saw it happen, I was kind of like, oh, okay, he's just not digging it, that's just not. And then after that, I noticed the day after I tried it again, and he was doing the same thing, like the scratching at the face, and I was like, what is going on? This is not right. And I figured out, okay, he must be having some kind of reaction to this peanut butter, because it just doesn't make any sense. I have now stopped with the peanut butter. Well, first I would recommend call your doctor, as long as it's a mild reaction. If not, just call 911. I haven't had that experience. Everything has been pretty mild, but I did give my pediatrician a call after having those reactions, and he said just give it 2 months. We'll reassess in 2 months and see if we can try again. Maybe his immune system or whatever causes the reactions kind of grows out of it. I'm also happy to know that my partner does now eat eggs. He is not allergic to them, so he did grow out of that at some point in his life. Yeah, I'm hopeful that he won't be allergic to eggs or nut butters. If it happens, if he is, then we will assess that later. Anyways, that's our experience with the food allergies. But as for when to feed him or how to go about it if you are breastfeeding, I have been really trying to do breakfast, lunch, dinner every single time at the same time. When he first initially wakes up, I don't immediately give him food. I just breastfeed him, and he's up for a couple hours, and then he takes a nap. And then after his first nap, that's when I decide to give him oatmeal. I will change his diaper, get him kind of ready, and get his food ready, and then feed him. And then after he eats whatever food he's having for breakfast, he will then breastfeed almost pretty much right after he asks to have some milk. So it doesn't always end up like that. Sometimes he just wakes up really fussy. Recently he's getting his top teeth in, Sometimes he's just like, no, I'm not even digging this right now. So I'll just breastfeed him and then try food in a little bit. Or just like if he's just not digging that meal, we'll just skip it altogether. It's fine. It's not a big deal. He's still learning and everything like that. But that's kind of how I try to fit in the food. As for what exactly I'm feeding him is I will typically so if I make a dinner, let's say it's ground beef, potatoes, and peas, I will make a bunch of it, and then I will take a portion of that food that I've made and I will grind it up into, if it's meat, I'll put it into the mini cuisine art prep food processor. It's in my other video. I talked about it. And I'll throw it in there and I'll blend it up and I'll put it in a little container, and I'll make enough for like maybe 3 meals. I would say like that dinner that night, and then the next day's lunch, and then possibly the next day's dinner, just depending on like if we're gonna eat something different that he can't have. Same thing with like potatoes. I'll mash up the potatoes and make it for several days out. No longer than like 3 days out, because at that point, you know, it's not good. Some other concerns I had was like salt. When I cook my food, I do like still add salt. I've never been a big salt person in the first place with my food, so I just, you know, very lightly add salt to all my food. I haven't really added any other seasonings like too crazy. I mean, to my potatoes, I added butter. But again, not a ton. Then from there, if, you know, the adults, they need a little bit more like spice or something like that, then they can add it in afterwards. But yeah, I'm just very like cautious of how much I'm adding, as in salt and butters and things like that, to my food. But other than that, I pretty much, it hasn't been too difficult. As for like the first foods I had him try, my biggest thing was beef. Our doctor, he was telling me about the breast milk, like at 6 months, it drops in iron, or maybe it never had iron in the first place, I don't really know. I wanted him to get beef into his system. I didn't want him to become anemic or anything like that. So I immediately was giving him things like steak in the mini food processor and having him have the beef first, because I really wanted to make sure that I had that iron in him. Oscar, where are you going? Come back here. That is everything that I've kind of experienced in this first month of feeding my baby solids. And I know it can be a little scary, and you know, it's brand new, and don't get frustrated. The babies, at first, it felt like he wasn't going to eat food. It really did. It felt like I was failing when I could not get him to want to eat solids, and that's how it really felt at the beginning. But just seriously, like 1 tablespoon at a time. Try it, have him taste it. If he's making faces, that's okay. Like, it's something new in his mouth that he's never, so faces are okay. Don't worry about that. But don't feel discouraged if at first he's not really taking to the food. It will get there, and just continue doing what you can and discovering what they like and what they're allergic to, and just taking it a step at a time. So I hope that these were helpful, and we will see you next time. I gotta put this baby down for a nap.